Hi everyone, and welcome back to Blueprint DIY, where we remake our clothes to be just as unique as us. I hope you guys are super excited because we have been inspired by the runway. A few weeks ago, I did my biannual runway review, and I usually like to do that when it's Fashion Week to go over the past shows to see in this season what we can be inspired by for our DIYs and our upcycles. So I was inspired by a couple of shows because they had these oversized fur clutches, and I wanted to make one so bad because I had leftover fur from years and years ago that was given to me, and I held onto it, and thank God that I did. And my mom gave me more fur, which is this amazing fur that looks like it's like a black and gray, but when you move the fur up, the undertone of it is green, and green is my absolute favorite color, so it's perfect for me. So a couple of weeks ago, I tried this fur bag. I dyed it just from some regular white fur. This is the fur that I had left over. And although this isn't technically an upcycle, it is leftover fur. So this was dead stock fabric. So still sustainable. I'm going to tell you everything you need for this project. So let's do it. I am super excited about this with the green under fur. Oh, that is so good. And so since it has a direction, I'm going to have to be careful about that because I want it the direction of both sides to be this way. So for this project, I need a pattern. Print it out on my plotter vinyl cutter that I talked about a couple weeks ago. And this pattern is for sale on my website. What else you'll need is some type of lining. I'm just going to use this black lining that I got from Texas Art Asylum. I did a video, in that same video I talked about that place. Amazing place. I'm going to use Zipper by the Yard. I got this from Waywalk. Love their zippers for the price. Good zippers, good price. And then also, I'll have the link to that as well as the link to Amazon. I've gotten a lot of Zipper by the Yard on Amazon as well. And then this is also linked in the description box. It is seam binding, just regular black seam binding because I'm going to use black lining. So the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, I want to cut this so that both sides are going down. So I could cut one and then cut another. But one of you guys gave me the best tip, which I had heard before, but I forgot. And it is to cut from the back and use an X-Acto knife. That way you're not having to fight with, you're not cutting off too much of the fur. So what I'm going to do is just trace it with the Sharpie, and then I'll get the X-Acto knife. This one has an X-Acto blade, but no knife. So I'm going to try to use this and see if I can just cut this part, not through the fur that's underneath. See, it's cutting through the fabric too. That's not what I want. Ah! Now that I have the cut, I'm able to just take my snips. So what I'm doing is just sticking it in right underneath the inside layer and just snipping at it. So that way I'm still getting that fur coming down, which is what I want. So you can see I'm getting the fur still, all the fur that belongs to that section. I have both of my fur pieces cut. On the good piece, it's over, the fur is coming over the edge. On the piece that I was that's the difference. But I'm going to go ahead and pin down my lining. Finish cutting out that piece. Now only need the seam allowance, inside the seam allowance. So I only need this line. Now I need to cut another one. Really quick, I want to show you guys this stuff that I get. It's called Flex Foam, and that's what I use inside of duffel bags and bags like this to stiffen them. And this stuff is double-sided iron fusible. It's fusible on two sides. Can get it where it's fusible only on one side if you need. All right, so now I have two of these pieces. We're ready to start sewing. The amount of zipper that I'm going to use is 27 inches. So you can buy a 27, 28-inch zipper. For these purposes, I do really like to use the Zipper by the Yard because I can sew both pieces on separately. So I'm going to cut off about 28 inches of zipper, one layer at a time. All right, so one outer layer, one lining. All right, lay good side to good side. Whatever side you want to be the inside is the good side. Make sure all of my little fuzzies are going in the right direction. Come on, little babies. All right, and I need to sew one layer of the zipper to the inside of that. But I'm going to, before I do that, let's see if I have any soap here. I'm going to mark the middle of the zipper. And we're going to mark the middle of the lining. I'm going to do it where I line up the middle so that I have even amounts on both sides, because the zipper is going to go down along the edges. I'm going to mark one end of each zipper, and that's going to go on that end. This is going to lay on top of the fur to the middle, which means I need to mark the middle of the fur as well. This is going to lay aligned with the middle. How I always check and make sure I'm doing things right is I'll pin it the way I'm about to sew it and then flip it. If that looks how I want it to look at the end, then I'm doing it right. All right, when it comes around the corner, you need to bend it. That's where having just one of these sides is really helpful. And the reason I'm pushing as much of this fur in as possible is because it helps. The more fur you have towards the inside, it helps to hide your seam. All right, so now we're gonna line up our lining and begin to clip this in place. So you see my method for pinning is to have the pin heads going up so that when I'm sewing, I can just pull those out. All right, so I'm gonna start from the middle, sew in one direction, and then go back to the middle and sew in the other direction. But that's one half. Now we're going to turn around and do the other side. I'm going to switch the foot and I'm going to stay on top. This is not a common way to sew with the fabric towards this direction. You absolutely can turn and do it on this side, but I want to keep my lining on the top just so I can make sure it's getting in the seam. But this is the reason why most zipper feet have two sides. All right, let's lay it out and see if that's what we were looking for before I do the other side. Let's turn it right side out and see if this zipper is how we want it to be. Oh, I love how when the zipper turns it, you see that pop of green. Oh my gosh, exactly what we wanted. Okay, and it's nice and centered. So since we have the center marked, I can take the other side. Oh, first let's find the center of this piece. That's the center of that piece. It's the center. It's gonna go like this, right? So we're gonna take this piece off. I'm not gonna do anything weird like turn it that way. It could sound like this. Remember, because we put it together, fold it over, see if that's what we want. Yes, that is what we want. So now I line up my middle line and my pin, and I can pin those two together. All right, so now I can move this part aside and I can go ahead and line this zipper up. And this one is going to be definitely easier to turn the curve because it's only one side of the zipper. All right, so now we take our other layer of lining, center line, and we're gonna sew this one together in the exact same way we sewed the other one. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Definitely hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a thing. I am excited for what we have coming up next. My tutorials or videos about how I am using my craftiness and DIYs in order to make an income, as well as some amazing upcycles. So definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what we do next. All right, back to the video. Okay, before I add the zipper pulls, I think I want to add the, I know I put it across or I added it into the video what it's called, but I promise you, right now at this moment recording this, I cannot think of the name of this stuff. And I hate that for me. Ooh, fits so perfect. All right, instead of ironing it down, what I decided to do, I want the lining to kind of be free, but I do want to make sure that this moves with the fur. So I opened up the fur like this until I could see all the way down at the bottom. And then I just did like it's not even an inch, it's maybe a quarter of an inch or a half an inch stitch back and forth, before. And I could have changed my top thread to green, and it would have like literally you never would have been able to find it again. But you like literally can't see it. On the inside, you won't be able to see it as well because it's on the foam. So now these are ready to get sewn together, good side to good side, because we are using seam binding. That makes this process so much easier. So I'm gonna line up my zippers on each side. I am going to sew just the fur pieces together. There's too much. There's too much. Everything else needs to be out of the way. So now I just want to tuck the fur to the inside and just sew just these pieces. This is pretty thick, so I'm probably gonna have to tuck and sew. And you're gonna be sewing three sides. This, and that side, just the fur, not the corners. Okay, so I'm on the bottom section. I did one side. I'll show you when I do the other side, but I'm not gonna lie, this little tuck as you sew is not as easy. The tuck, it just in general is not as easy as I would like, but it is worth it. It does hide that seam so well. So then the next thing we're gonna do is take this section and pull it out like this and sew this closed. Whoa. All right, all right. Now you know good gosh darn well you can do this. Now we can sew the lining just by itself. I could go ahead and sew just the lining just like I did. I'm gonna do it just like I did the fur part, down the side, down the bottom, down the other side, and then pinch it flat and sew it across. So I was saying that I think that this seam binding would be way too wide. I did find way smaller, way smaller seam binding. So I'll probably try to use this. As I sew the two layers of lining together, I'm going to sew the seam binding open, and you can see the little iron line. That's where I want to sew. Yeah, that's where I want to sew. So that's where I am going to sew. This is not easy when you're doing like slippery fabric like lining. It does help if you have a sewing machine that automatically goes, the needle that goes down when you stop, or when you stop, just before you lift your presser foot, make sure your needle is down. All right, we're gonna do the bottom. When I do the bottom, I'm gonna sew the foam into the seam binding. It's covering the seam. All right, so here is we used a wide piece of seam binding on the bottom because I did want to get the foam into the seam. And then for these seams, I used the smaller seam binding, and you can see it's not all the way on there yet because I haven't put on the zipper pulls. So now that everything is pretty much in place, now I want to go ahead and put the zipper pulls. We still do need to come back and first of all, set the seam binding, close the zipper, and then close this and add seam binding on that as well. But we're going to go ahead and add our zipper pulls. Oh, so fancy. With Waywalk, you order your zipper by the yard and your pulls separate depending on what finish you want on your pulls. When you order them on Amazon, you order, the pull and the zipper by the yard at the same time. You want the same amount of zipper tape on both sides, or zipper teeth into the pull. Ah, got it. Too much fur in the way? No, we got it. All right, so you can just put one on or you can do two. I'm going to back that up, turn it around, and add a zipper pull on the other side so that the curved part of the zipper pull meets in the middle. So now I have two pulls. so that if I want to just open the top of the bag, I can just open the top of the bag. Now with all this fur, ooh, Lord, I'm gonna have to be careful. But we have our zipper pulls in there. We can turn it right side out. I might have to do it carefully because these zippers are moving real easy. I can take this whole section and close it up. So I'm gonna sew the seam binding all the way, a little ways up the zipper, maybe about a ½ inch up the zipper. We're going to sew it up about a ½ inch above the bottom of the zipper, and then we're going to fold this down, fold it over, and then sew it closed. All right, so we have our ends sewn up, and the last thing I need to do is to go ahead and add some seam binding to the ends. I want to cut any extra threads, and then I want to open it up. If you have folded seam binding, like it has a fold on the end, you could do it in one fell swoop. But you want to definitely make sure one end is turned down. Then sew it on there and make sure the other end is turned down as well. So I'll just cut it a little bit longer than it needs to be. And we can go ahead and sew this down, and then we'll fold it over and then sew the other side down. And if you're looking for a tutorial more in depth about seam binding and other ways to finish your inside of your garments without a serger, I do have a video about that. So that's the inside of the bag. Now we're ready to turn it right side out. Let's look at the end of the zipper. So the end of the zipper is closed. It won't go any further than this, so it can't come off. And I did make a new bag charm for this bag in addition to the one I made last week for last week's bag. So stay tuned for a whole video about DIY bag charms. I'm super excited about that. It's going to be so cool. So that's it. Wasn't too bad. This is a little bit more of an advanced project, but I know that you guys can do it. Just take it nice and slow. We're going to get it done. And I am super excited about this. Let's style it.
All I want is all of you, baby, baby. Nothing less than that will do, baby, baby. You take me higher, higher, higher. You set my soul on fire, fire, baby.
Yes. I specifically thrifted this sweater because I wanted to wear it with long boots, and I am so excited to wear it with this bag. Now, I really wanted to wear this bag with this full green suit for a concert, but of course, at concerts, they will not let you carry full bags. So I'm gonna have to style that outfit at a later date with the bag, probably for church or something like that. But today we're gonna be a little bit more sassy and put it with the tall Mary J. Blige boots. So I'm super excited about that. Definitely let me know what you think about this bag, if you would make it. Are you going to add a handle? And definitely check out the pattern. The pattern is linked for purchase in the description box below, so definitely check that out. Of course, I have classes coming up. If you're in the Houston area, I have classes, a bunch of classes listed on my website, blueprintdiy.com/sewing classes. You see it down here. But yeah, definitely check those out because we do have some coming up before next year. So you definitely want, and I have an upcycle class, not just sewing, but upcycling. So definitely check that out and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. If you made it to this part of the video, I'm sending you big hugs and loves through the camera, through the internet, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.